For those of us that wanted to see Colorado face possibly BYU in the Big 12 championship, the Alamo Bowl had to be the next best thing, and BYU left no doubt in this game. But I want to talk about some positives from it, also what to think about BYU, what to think about Colorado, and what this means for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter ahead of what will be a very cool NFL draft season. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show or your 1000th and you have not subscribed, please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any of the segments that we upload here. Like this video, we do college football 24/7, 365. And today, watching a game that I think was one of the most highly anticipated bowl games that isn't in the college football playoff, because Colorado had an opportunity to notch a 10-win season for the first time since 2016. It's also the second time today that we saw back-to-back or two ranked teams play each other. The first one, Iowa State and Miami, came down to the wire. Very good. Iowa State overcomes Miami, and Cam Ward. As good as Miami is, the defense is just sorry. It's just bad. And that is how I felt about Colorado in this game. Up and down most of the season. They just were bad today, to say nothing of how bad the offensive line played today against Tyler Batty and that BYU defensive front. Outstanding play by them. Just getting after the quarterback, man. Like, yes, Shedeur Sanders will finish with over 4,000 yards passing and 36 TDs, I believe. And Travis Hunter had one hell of a game at receiver, 4 for 106 and a TD. And I'm going, hey, look, why are we still having this discussion about whether or not this dude could play both ways in the NFL? And why are so many of y'all trying to make him just a corner? He has demonstrated enough at Colorado as a wide receiver that I would like to see him play more snaps at wide receiver than corner. But I don't think you have a problem having him go both ways. Have him play nickel and or you be your 2 or 3 to start, maybe your 1 as a wide out, because he's got over 100 catches this year. I mean, not 100. He's got close to 100 catches. Something like 98, I believe, at the end of this season, maybe 96, depending on how we're counting these things out. Not depending on how we're counting these things out. Had 92 at the end of the season for 96, right? For over 1,200 yards, 15 TDs in the game. And the game got out of reach real quick, fast, in a hurry. And I'm curious as to how and why, because to start the game, Prime was emotional, talking about coaching his boys and watching them grow up, and this being the last time that he's going to coach them. Remember, Prime got into coaching because of his boys. Like, he'd be on the sidelines and watching bad coaching, teaching bad technique, and he'd be getting up out of his chair and he'd be going to correct. And by the end of that, he's going, all right, maybe I just need to coach. And he's been doing that with Shiloh and Shedeur since they were very small. A lot of these boys grow up with him. And then he basically has made Travis into one of those sons of his fourth son. And they're very close, as you very well know. The Heisman Trophy winner, it is what I think is going to be a first-round draft pick, because when you look at what's left here and who's shown what, you've got Cam Ward, you've got Shedeur Sanders, you take one, I'll take the other. Then you've got Carson Beck, you've got Dylan Gabriel. We'll see what happens with Quinn Ewers. There's dudes that are going to be available, but I think Shedeur separated himself as one of those quarterbacks you want to build around. Like, goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. My goodness, man. And is somebody going to be bold enough to try to put together a package that secures both Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and just hand the keys to the franchise to them? Like, I'm looking at the Seahawks and I'm going, you know, y'all need somebody that's going to help you with Geno. And imagine putting Travis Hunter on that defense and having to play wideout with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and all of a sudden you got a monster out there. But I think, you know, going into the offseason, this team is not going to look the same. It's just not. They've already added in the transfer portal with Caden Salter. Juju Lewis is going through bowl practices. They'll get better. LaJohntay Wester, I thought, was a really great story this week in that he got to finally wear that #1, and Prime said, hey, get your grades up, and then you can get that #1. Also, underneath all of that, Travis Hunter, an academic All-American. Just to let y'all know, there are levels to this. And this man was able to achieve academic All-American, get a 4.0 GPA, win the Biletnikoff Award, the Defensive Player of the Year Award, and the Heisman Trophy, all while being the Paul Hornung dude and being an All-American. It's just, I don't like doubting what Travis Hunter can do, because he's shown us that he can do everything that you ask him to. I do think that this game always felt like BYU was going to try to just impose its will, and they were able to do that defensively and through the run game. Like, LJ Martin did a lot for them. He led them in receiving yards and in rushing, and then you're giving up, the punt return for TD. you're making some boneheaded mistakes. You're dropping passes. You got a fluke interception where Jimmy Horn gets tattooed. Ball goes up in the air and the stairs. Just things weren't going their way, and they never got out of their own way. However, aside from the outcome of this game, I was impressed by just how many folks showed up to this. I doubted how they were going to fill this stadium up because UTSA is about 36,000, but you can load up 65,000 people in the Alamo Dome, and it looked like that's exactly what they got for this game between BYU and Colorado fans showing out in San Antonio. So big applause for you guys because you brought an atmosphere to this game that isn't been there. And I know this because Oklahoma and Arizona played in this game a couple of years ago. Oklahoma played in this game actually the year before that too when they played Oregon. It's quite impressive what they've been able to do. And it's also quite impressive what Prime has done at Colorado in year 2. Going into year 3, all of the questions will be asked over and over again. I might even ask them a few times. What is this team going to look like? Not just without Shedeur Sanders, but without Travis Hunter, without Shiloh. I mean, Cameron Stillman-Craig had a great interception in the second half of the game to try to get something going. DJ McKinney also looked really good in this, but I'm curious as you're trying to make over the defense and you're going to make it over every year, just like you're going to make over the offense every year, what's it going to look like? Who are you going to build around? Caden Salter versus Juju, I think is going to be the derby that we watch. I realize that there are people that believe that Caden Salter is going to be the dude from jump. He's got 1 year eligibility left. He has shown he can do this at a high level, and he has shown that he can win championships in Texas as a high school player. And you might want to give Juju the opportunity to redshirt. And if he's cool with that, bet, then that's a great recipe you got for success next year and into the future. I think for me, it's can you get a beat on what this offense is or isn't? Because in this game, I'm watching Colorado go 2 of 8 on third down through the first 3 quarters. Just 4 rushing yards through the first 4.5. I mean, we're talking about 2 turnovers, 3 sacks. So you had basically you had 1 more rushing yard than you had sacks at one point, and we're deep into the game. You got penalties that Prime said, hey, look, that's about discipline. Well, BYU ended up with more than you did. And I think we need to actually acknowledge that BYU did a damn good job this year. Not only did they give themselves an opportunity to play in the Big 12 championship, something went wrong. They finished at the top, right, in a 4-way tie. They got a really great win against a playoff team in SMU, and they ended up losing to the eventual Big 12 champions in Arizona State, knocked them out, and Arizona State is going to get Texas early this week. I think the BYU played really well, and I think with Jake Retzloff coming back, you're going to hear a lot of people saying a lot of nice things about what BYU is or isn't going to 2025. I don't know that he was particularly entertaining or even effective. I think he's very good for what Aaron Roderick was trying to do with BYU this year, and it gives them a great starting point for next year. I think replacing a guy like LJ Martin is really going to be the thing here because, I mean, I'm thinking about what LJ Martin has been able to do just in his career at BYU so through these first 2 years. I don't think he's going to enter, but if he did, that would suck because I like watching him play, man. That dude's got all sorts of moxie. He is stoned. I really like watching him play football. I think the last couple of games have really not been the best for him. I'd say best for him going into this bowl game. He had, 9 for 42 against Arizona State, and then 22 for 87, which is not bad, 4 yards per carry against Houston. So I guess it's not as bad as I thought it was, but only 100-yard rushing game this season. I think, you build around that dude a little bit more, and you let Jake Retzloff do his thing on play action, trying to find guys wide open down the middle. Both of these teams ought to feel like they're going to contend for the Big 12 championship next year. That's a positive. The league looks very strong with Iowa State getting the win against Miami. Kansas State coming back to get its win. The teams that were bowl eligible in the Big 12 have done their parts. They have showed out. They have really shown that this conference is about its time. I take that back. Texas Tech got stomped out by Arkansas, but you don't have a starting quarterback. You're down a bunch of people. They've also gone hard in the portal, though. They're not taking this one lying down. They're going to go hard and come back. I think, once again, if Oklahoma State, Kansas get back on the horse and can do something, Utah, we're talking about another competitive Big 12 year, and I think that's good for the league. I think it's really good for how we're going to view the playoff going into the future. So that's the season. 9-4 is way better than 4-8. And looking at 2025, got every reason to believe you can go win 10 games. You identify a quarterback that can make plays, and you get some playmakers on that offense going again.